So, ladies and gentlemen, please raise the roof for Jochem Wijnands.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Can I share one observation with you all? Just quickly before we get started. It seems like you all came here to listen to 50-year-old dudes taking cold showers every morning. And it's almost like if you want to make it for the next 25 years, you have to take cold showers.
And you're going to confirm that, right?
And I have a confession to make. I do take cold showers.
Oh, see?
And it's weird. I don't know why, but apparently it's like secret to success, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Well,
of all the advice you're getting, maybe that's the.
Let me confirm that. So I take warm showers, and my businesses have gone nowhere. So
who's taking cold showers already? All right. Good luck to you.
Who's too scared to take a warm shower now for the rest of their life? Quite a few. Okay, great. So, Jochem, this next section is about 0 to 1, and I would like to start with you. How did you start? What did you study?
What I did study.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Rotterdam School of Business.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got an MBA from there. That's where I started.
And did that prompt you to starting a business straight away, or?
No. That's not how it happened. I actually traveled for a year, and I came back, and I was never able to get back into normal life. So it's kind of I don't know. It's like you never in a normal situation. You just grow into one thing and then the other thing, and then before you know it, you probably work somewhere at a company. You may be like married, or you live together with somebody, and you maybe not really love that person all too much. You don't love your work, and so ultimately you end up doing something you don't like very much, and you may be like 30 something before you realize. And I think I've been lucky that I started thinking for myself at that age. So every decision that I took after that was my decision and not somebody else's. Yeah.
So traveling really changed your way of viewing life and got you out of that kind of like normal path that most people are forced into. Mm-hmm. So what happened after you came back from traveling? How the thing?
I did more traveling.
Very nice.
So I ended up working at Philips Electronics. I thought I'd just give it a go, just see if it's something for me. Quickly decided that it wasn't. I loved traveling, I loved writing, I loved photography. So for the next 15 years or so, I was just traveling and taking photos, writing stories, did photo books, worked for the National Geographic, for Nikon, kind of reached my own objectives, but it's mostly lifestyle, to be honest. It's just mostly the freedom of being your own boss, deciding on the spur whatever you feel like doing.
Mm. And there's some businesses that rolled out of that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I did. It's like when you're living that type of life, you're some sort of an entrepreneur, because you have to invest in every project and then make it work, and then invest in the next one. You have to sell it. At some point, I started hiring people. I did a few things, but I wasn't startup minded at all. I didn't even know what a startup was, if you know what I'm saying. I was just doing what I like doing best. I started hiring people when I got in touch with the royalty-free images, started creating a company around it, but I never really took it to the next level. I did the same thing with a photo library, like an archive. I developed software for it. This is way back, like at least 15 years ago. It wasn't there yet. I created it, it worked, and I just used it for my own little company. So I've never had the idea of scaling it and then kind of going for the world domination. And it worked for me. I mean, I had like maybe 10 people working, selling stories, selling images. It was a great business. It wasn't like a startup at that point.
So it was more of a business.
Yeah.
Or
And it worked for me. I'm like, I met my wife, we wanted children, and I didn't feel like traveling 8 months a year. Makes sense. And so that's why I created the company, so that I'd be spending more time.
And which company was that?
It's called Picture Contact. Don't guess anybody heard of it, because it's just really basically what it was, providing for me, if you know what I'm saying.
And what prompted you to basically stop working on that project and transfer into the next?
I keep looking at your beard.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I'll hide it for you.
Actually, what happened is last week I found out that Justin would be interviewing me. I started growing my own beard, so that
suits him as well.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
Oh, so I apologize for my distracting beard. Yeah, so...
what are you hiding? What are you hiding?
A chin.
So what's wrong with your chin?
It's fine, it's just hidden. So you had a traditional business company on the internet with a royalty-free photography. You had a bunch of people working for you. What kind of like prompted you to make a change in life?
I was bored. That's the short answer. And I realized, saying to my friends and family, like some years in a row, I'm like super happy. And I'm bored. There's nothing at risk, so it doesn't feel like life. There should be something at risk. Should take some chances. I actually started writing a book. I haven't told anybody this. So you must be a good interviewer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I was nearly finished, and then I dropped it to start doing what I started doing. That's going to be your next question.
Yeah, so what did you start doing then?
Yeah.
Thank you. Apart from a distracting beard, you can just do this yourself as well.
Yeah, maybe. No, I'm not sure. It was 2010, and the iPad just came out, and I saw one. I was in the States. It wasn't available in the Netherlands yet. And I thought, for the first time, you could actually start creating a magazine, which could like be credible, as opposed to the print magazines. And like photos would be stunning on iPad. So I totally thought, with the iPad, I can become a publisher for the first time. And the investment wasn't as big.
Right.
So I met a guy at a party in the summer and on a barbecue, and he's like an Apple fanboy, and we started talking, and the next day we started. That's basically what happened.
Cool. And I want to go back a little bit. This kind of like not being satisfied with the status quo that you had, right? When you had your company, you were happy, but there was, we heard it earlier, rupsje nooit genoeg. Is this trait that I see a lot of entrepreneurs having, where they're like, okay, this is cool, but there's bound to be something more in life. Do you think this is a good trait for an entrepreneur to have, or?
It's kind of being restless if you live the life of an insurance agent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you live in like a village outside Amsterdam with a small garden and a car in front of your like house, yeah, I think you should be worried, right? Personally.
So, do you think it's a good thing to kind of like cultivate this this like mentality of trying to look outside of what the status quo is?
Funny thing is, we're now not discussing startups anymore. This is a bigger thing, because your thing might be something else. It doesn't need to be a startup.
Right.
It's basically more realizing you got one shot at it, like about making something of your life, and so you should live your. Oh wow. You should live your own life, not somebody else's life. Whatever that means, right? It's going to be different for everybody, but yeah.
Oh, interesting. So now a little bit.
And the risk of not living that life is bigger than the risk you take when you start doing something that you like. I suppose.
Makes sense. So moving forward a little bit. You thought, hey, I can become my own publisher. I've taken all these amazing pictures. I have a whole bunch of people that are working for me taking amazing pictures. They look awesome on the iPad. what happened from there? You created some software around that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just try to be short and like talk about what happened then the years after I decided to start a company. We turned out we were the first iPad exclusive magazine, so we always felt like we were in a hurry. I think you all recognize that feeling. And it was a good thing. We were ahead of the game up till now almost. I'm like, okay, we're ahead of everything, which is why we're doing what that's why we're successful, I think. We created a magazine, made quite some mistakes. Then we got it right from a user perspective. We became really popular. 5-star ratings, millions of downloads, all that, really popular. Apple picked up on us, started featuring us. We went to WWDC because we got a mention. I think there's another mention coming up, but you've not. I didn't tell you this. And we really were about creating the best magazine that we could make. And all the software that was available at that time was scrap. Maybe that's not fair, but it wasn't meant for mobile publishing. And we knew what we needed. We had like a list of 100 things that we wanted to be able to do. So we said, then we are going to create that software ourselves. This is the pivot you read about. We became a software company. So we were no longer a publisher. And we started hiring developers, designers, and we started creating that software from scratch. It's quite an interesting process, but in about a year's time, we were able to publish our magazine TRVL with our software. But of course, we already realized there's thousands of publishers out there that have the same need. So we turned it into a platform, and like a year later, almost, we launched the platform. We had like literally, I think like 14 or 15,000 publishers waiting to get access to the platform. We launched the platform, and then I did talk to VCs. I went to the Silicon Valley 25 times by that time. So just never knowing exactly what to expect, but talked to the VCs there, to a lot of companies there. But only when we launched, only when after we launched, people started calling us. So it's like 25 times you're like knocking on doors, and then sometimes they open like a little bit. Most of them stay closed. As soon as we launched, it's like boom, calls from VCs, other companies. And then, of course, one of them, Apple. We were already in conversations with them for a couple of years, like just kind of catching up. But now, then it all of a sudden became serious.
And how did all the VCs find out about you? Of course, you've been knocking on their doors for a while.
That's how they found out.
Okay. So basically that put you on their radar. And then once you started launching and everything was going very well, they started paying more attention to you? Or did it go?
Well, you go there, you have your pitch deck, you sometimes get invited back, so for a second. And then it's like, oh, it is very interesting, keep us posted on your progress. When you hit this milestone or that milestone, we would love to know. Often they ask for other investors to get involved. And it's kind of dragging along. So we knew them, they've seen our story, we've pitched for them. And at a certain time, so when we launched, they started reaching out to us. So it was the reverse. And then we had a number of options, of which I think still think Apple was the best one.
Let me see. Going a bit backwards, how did Apple notice you in the beginning? What was, because you then subsequently sold PRSS or Press to Apple. What was kind of the beginning of building the relationship? Because I'm guessing that's a very important aspect of the whole thing.
I remember one of the first times I was in San Francisco, somebody gave me a business card of somebody working at Apple, and we were like over the moon. We thought the whole trip was a success because of this one. So that's how hard it is to get to them, to get access. On the other hand, you have to realize, like even a company like Apple needs all the developers everybody. Like they're a business, they're like a company, and they're doing business with other companies and with other people. So it's not, at some point you realize it's actually also in their interest.
Right.
Also, we got selected for DC. In the keynote, they started thanking developers, and we were one of them.
Oh, cool.
The magazine TRVL had a huge audience, a 5-star rating, and so kind of in that sense, we were hitting it out of the park, and they realized, they picked up on it. And then we got invited to sit there in the front row together with like the guys from Facebook, Google, all these people that we're reading about on the Next Web and TechCrunch and so on.
Cool.
And we were sitting there, yeah, with the VIP.
That must have been very exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
So you then Apple really loved it. They basically bought you guys, or part of Press. Not you were allowed to keep TRVL as a label, but they bought Press.
So you know how we pitched it to them?
Oh no, please tell us.
Just quickly, as we said, like we created the software you guys forgot to make.
That's a great pitch.
And that was it. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, really? But think about it. Apple is the biggest mobile company in the world, and we created a mobile-first publishing platform. So just to publish, and basically it means your whatever you publish becomes part of the iOS.
Right.
And there's no, well, you're a developer, you understand there's no language you need to kind of translate what you're doing to some other system. It's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys must have been absolutely over the moon when Apple bought you. It did mean that a bunch of things changed because Apple is a Cupertino-based company. How'd that work? Do you guys work out of Amsterdam or move over there?
No, we all moved there. Yeah, all 20 of us.
And all at once? How is it?
No, it's not all at once. It's because of visa requirements.
Right.
So some of the guys we just hired them, and then they needed to spend more time in the Netherlands before they could move over. So it's like, I think all in a period of 6 months maybe. And so the younger ones had their girlfriends, but you cannot bring your girlfriend on a visa, so they all got married in, I think, a period of 10 days, like 11 of them.
Wow, that's some...
And I was like, wow. If I would have married the girl I was with at that age, oh.
I think there's many cults that are very jealous of your mass weddings.
Yeah,
maybe. So cool that you guys spent, I think, a year and a half working at Apple, working on the software there, basically building out the software that they forgot to build.
Yep.
And then after that, did you become restless again? What happened?
Assuming that I wasn't restless for a little while. Yes. I knew that I never wanted to actually live in the US. I never wanted to work at Apple. So it wasn't like my dream coming true. It's a great opportunity, but I knew it was for a certain period of time.
Right.
So I went there to. Can you please stop talking in the front row? I'm just kind of constantly hearing it. Sorry. So I went there to develop what is now Apple News, an Apple News format. They launched in 2015, and that was for me like, okay, the product that I created is now kind of done. If I stay longer, I'll become an employee, and I will have like a yearly, what you call it?
Yes, I know what you mean.
Beoordelingsgesprek. What's the word?
Evaluation. Yearly evaluation.
Yeah, that was it. And I just didn't want to put myself in that type of positions. So in 2015, in the summer, because of my kids that have to go to school, I came back and asking myself what to do. And TRVL was still around. It was just what it was. We used it as a sandbox for press. It has a great potential. We never got to really create the type of product or brand or that we envisioned. So I'm like, okay, you know what? It's still there. A lot of people still read it. People love it. Let's have a look. And I realized that mobile publishing in itself wasn't a problem for me. Like I understood how to create a business out of it, how to create an audience, readership, stuff like that. So first sat down and thought, this is the brand, this is the audience that I'm having. How am I going to turn it into something more exciting than it is today?
Right.
And I had to look at like business models, of course. And I thought the banner ads and even content marketing and even lead generation and all the things that are available doesn't really cut it. You don't solve anybody's problem. And this is, I think, one of the, I mean, if you ask me what is it that I want to share with you guys, I think it's like my son, he's 9, he asked me the other day, Daddy, what is a startup? And I said, okay. A startup is like a guy or girl or woman. That's my year in America. Now I'm like, have to be really careful. So a person who's like taking 2 pieces of paper and then asking herself, how do I put these together? And then one of them is inventing a staple, and the other one is inventing a paperclip, and the problem is solved. And these are like inventors. I think startups are modern day inventors, ultimately. So you find yourself confronted with something that is a problem, it's suboptimal, you want to change something, and you just go make sure that you get a solution for it.
Right.
So back to travel, when I came back, I wanted to find out, is there a problem I can solve? And basically what I wanted to know is, we got millions of readers, is there some way to add value for them?
Right.
Like you can put ads up there, but it doesn't create any value for the user.
No.
So I said, we're very good in doing inspiration. So I'm assuming these people are all travelers. What is the next thing that they're confronted with in their like search for a good trip, a place to go, so on? And I spent some time looking at it, and it immediately became very apparent that doing research and doing a booking online is less than perfect.
Right.
You know, we saw research, we asked people, and to be honest, it's also my own experience. If you go somewhere and you've never been there before, say you're going to, whatever, Buenos Aires, just looks like a nice place. Say you're going to Buenos Aires, and you've never been there before, how do you know what neighborhood you're going to be staying in?
Right.
And so you got your neighborhood, and then how do you know what hotel you're going to be staying in? Before you know it, you end up spending many, many nights. And in the beginning, it's fun, but at some point, it becomes really tedious.
Yeah.
And it's really the paradox of choice. There's so much to choose from that you will, in order to get comfortable about, you know, your decision, you need to first really go through all of that information to kind of make decisions, not to look at this, more to focus on this. And so the research that we've seen shows that you're spending like between 30, 40 hours on average before you make a final booking. And then after you've made the booking, and I don't know if you recognize this, but even after you've made the booking, you're still not very sure about whether you've made the right choice. You're not very sure whether that is exactly the hotel for you, if it's the best hotel out there. So you end up spending a couple of months being anxious about your choice, and then only when you're at the doorstep of your hotel, you go like either like,
right.
Well, that's a relief. It's actually not bad at all. Or maybe it's like, oh shit, I should have known this on beforehand. I would have not made this decision. So long story short, what we've created is so we realized that personal recommendations would go a long ways. Just basically, somebody who knows you, go like Buenos Aires, you go with your girlfriend, you want to have like a romantic weekend, maybe do some tango dancing, like this is the neighborhood for you, and I know 3 hotels, they're like some, maybe not so big, just around the corner, it's not so busy, 20 rooms, great breakfasts, the owners are tango dancers themselves, I'm just making this up, but because of all that information you're getting, you're way more likely to go like, oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
And it really helps you to to the chase, and then saves you a lot of time, and you end up with a place that you think you're going to really be enjoying. So what we have created in the end, so instead of just being a publisher, here's another pivot, I suppose. We've created a peer-to-peer online travel booking platform, meaning that in this case you could create a trip for me.
Right.
And by creating the trip based on your personal recommendations that we as travel are providing for you, so like doing the heavy lifting for you, at the end you can save up to 10% of your trip. So your reward would be 10% of the total.
Right.
I must say up to 10%. Could be a little bit less as well.
So say, for example, I'm selling my company to Apple and I'm going to Cupertino and there's lots of cool stuff. I could just basically write down all the things that I've been doing and then add it into travel, and then one of the other people in the audience, who I'm sure is going to go down that same path in a little while, can then book that same travel, and then I get
that would be possible. Yes, that would definitely be possible. But I'm thinking, what if you're a company and you're like a startup? Like some of you guys must have a company already, and you do a lot of traveling. Say you're like 5 or 8 people, and you have to go to Paris, you have to go to London, you have to go. What if you sign up to become what we call a TRVL agent with us, and you would be able to get a 10% cashback on your trips? So you get the convenience of having everything in one screen: the flights, the hotels, Uber, airport transfers, car rental, activities, everything that you can think of that would like make your trip. That's the convenience. You keep track of everything you're doing. Like the history of all your trips will be there. It's a link that you can share with everybody, so that you can see the itinerary of your trip, and then you book it, and we'll send up to 10% of that trip back to you, which lands in your account. So you have the convenience and the savings. Right. So it's actually the first time I'm on stage, like making this announcement. So I hope at some point you go like, I was there. I was there when he made his first announcement. So it's very similar to what Airbnb and Uber are doing, in the sense that you're making something available, a business model, a way for, like, say, I would like almost say ordinary people, but people like you and me. Maybe that sounds better. And you give them a business model, something that they can do, and in their free hours. You don't need to have a car like with Uber. You don't need to have a place to rent out. Think about why Airbnb is such a successful company. It's amazing because you need to have a place. You need to be willing to rent it to total strangers, and that night in and night after night, you need to clean up after them. Right.
So, Jochem, we're running out of time, unfortunately. Your announcement here today, this is all very nice for these people. Can they sign up for it?
Yeah, obviously this is a bit of a setup.
That's true. Yes, you're all set up.
Yeah, we're set up.
No, so you're announcing here today that the people here in the room will actually be able to beta test this but only the people here. So what do they have to do for?
Well, what I suggested this morning is that if you sign up today for a beta invite, so we're in closed beta now. It works. We're making bookings, but it's just with like a handful of people. Soon we'll be opening up for more people, and we definitely need people to give us feedback, to test, and then ultimately, also obviously, to start using it. So if you sign up today, we'll make sure that you're among the first to get access. So you kind of skip the line, if you like. And we know, because it's like we can see it's in Amsterdam, it's today. So that would be our idea. So, and it's definitely, I think that especially startups, but also if like you always have somebody in your circle of friends that you always ask for advice. The one that has been traveling a lot, and I've been that person for a long time. That's typical. That's typically the type of person that would be able to make a business out of this. just kind of doing what they're already doing. So if you know people like that, please also ask them to get to sign up. Just sign up so they can try it. Sign up at some like if you want to become the travel agent, we just want you to sign up with Facebook. So it's not elaborate. You don't pay anything for it. No subscriptions fees, no hidden fees, no booking fees. And the people that book with you just pay what they pay on Booking and pay on what they pay on whatever, Expedia or other companies.
That's very cool. So you can basically travel, do what you love, and then share these experiences with other people, which makes you feel great and get paid for it as well. I think that's a
better job pitching this tonight.
Well, I don't want to replace you completely. Thank you very much, Jochem.
Thanks. Great to be here.